Hi everybody, let's see if we can't get this video right this time. So I'm going to redo this Amalgam 3DO, and I'm just getting my amalgam into my carrier here. I've already triturated it. I'm using a 3-spill slow set amalgam, so that way it lasts a little longer through my talking. And I chose to do the DO again just because it is a little trickier on that lingual side when we're trying to make our stop signs or the backside of our triangular fossa, or however you want to think about it, but we want to make sure that we don't break our marginal ridge at the same time we need to carve right next to the marginal ridge, so that can be a little bit tricky. I'm going to do this in chunks this time, so that way if you need to go back or want to go back to watch only a certain part, it's easier to find. Alright, so I'm going to put my amalgam into my prep. I want it to squish out. I don't want it to be a nice little roll just because I don't want it to fall out of my maxillary tooth, because gravity will take over. Let's see here. Sorry for the bouncing. I just wanted to try to maintain the point of focus there. So the first thing, so that my amalgam doesn't fall out right away, this part already would have if I were on a rod or in a patient. The first thing we want to do is we want to situate, which is lightly tapping the amalgam, getting it to kind of stick to the tooth structure before we really go after it with our hard pressure. So now that I've gotten it to situate, I'm going to go after it with hard pressure. Sometimes even that's not enough, so sometimes you'll need to situate, then do some moderate strokes, and then our heavy pressure. It kind of depends on how well the amalgam sticks to that tooth structure. So you can kind of hear my amalgam going crunch, 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 kind of like walking in snow. That's enough. I probably overdid it. I just wanted you to kind of see the process and get it all into the one area. I apologize for the bounce earlier. I accidentally pulled on the cord of my macro lens here, so I've gotten that out of my way. Hopefully there's no more bounce for you. I know that the first one was really bouncy. Alright, and again, we want it to squish out. That wasn't quite full. We don't want a nice little neat roll. And we want it to adhere to the amalgam that's already in there and to the tooth structure as much as possible. So we're going to situate, light pressure just to get it to stay. Then here's moderate pressure. If you're having trouble with it falling out, we're just going to do this moderate pressure. You won't hear the walking on snow sound. And now the hard pressure. All right, that's all you need. If you're taking any longer than that, then we're going to be running too long, and your amalgam's going to get all dry and hard on you, or harder on you, before you really have a chance to get very far with the carving. Now remember, this does not actually set to its full strength until 24 hours after you place it. So even though it feels hard and it's hard to work with, difficult to work with, there is still work you can do on it within that first probably hour minimum, I would say. All right. I'm just picking up a little bit of amalgam that spilled out of my well here. There we go. All right. Notice that I am using the small end of my large condenser just for more efficiency. I'm lightly situating. I went just one time around the prep to situate. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push that over there. I'm going to go with my moderate pressure. You won't be able to hear that walking on the snow feeling sound. Once around the prep with that moderate, if you need it. And now once around the prep with that hard. And again, that's all you should need. If you're doing it longer, you're going to run into trouble. I am filling up both ends of my carrier as I do this, just again for maximum efficiency. Generally that should be the rule of thumb. However, there are times when you only want to do one end at a time, but just keep in mind it will take you a little bit longer because you'll have to go back to your well a little bit more frequently. Oh, that would have fallen out if that were in a patient. There we go. And again, the small end of my big condenser, situate. Because this is a video and because I'm not having to work with against gravity, I'm just going to go for my hard pressure now. Notice I'm still angling my condenser toward the tooth structure. I'm not coming up and down. Now I'm going to do this. I don't want you to do it. I do not want you to do it. But I'm going to do this so you can see what not to do. What I don't want is I don't want straight up and down. You're going to see where I'm going to do it that I'm going to actually end up pushing the amalgam away from the cavo surface margin if I come straight up and down. So here I'm straight up and down. Now I have a void right there. Straight up and down. If you get right next to that cavo surface margin, there it is, we have a void. There it is, we have a void. So if you are straight up and down in that prep, at this level, you're going to have voids all along your cavo surface margin. Now I'm going to angle, and you can see that pushed the amalgam right up against that cavo surface margin, and I no longer have a void. Now I still do need a little bit more material in that distal, or mesial, excuse me. We're doing a DO, and I want the amalgam right here. But overall, I am well filled in this distal part. Let's see here. Let's get a little bit more. I'm only going to fill the large end of my big carrier, just because I only need that extra in my mesial portion, right here. All right. So now that I'm at the top, I'm going to use my largest condenser, and again, angle. We don't want those custom voids. Okay. I'm trying to get around my macro lens here. Sorry for the bounce. There we go. So notice I am angling that circular part, or the face of that condenser, into my tooth structure. You can hear the squeak, so you know I'm doing hard pressure. And there's actually quite a deep V where my central groove is going to go. All right. We're going to call that good. I'm going to set my condensers in my carrier side. I'm going to clear. I want the toe against my matrix band. Come to the center and then go on the other side. Notice I did not flip my instrument. I used the same end from the buccal side as I did for the lingual side. I'm going to brush some of this amalgam away so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Be careful. My amalgam's still really soft, and you can see all the little bristle marks from that toothbrush all over my amalgam now. Thankfully, I'm going to be carving that away. Oh, and I just got my Explorer stuck in my cavo surface margin because I wasn't doing a real good job paying attention to where it was. So I'm just going to push with my condenser the amalgam back into the cavo surface margin. And notice what I was doing is I was sliding upwards. So sometimes we want to do that if we're really wanting to make sure our cavo surface margin is closed. Not only do we condense at an angle, but we can push and slide up the cavo surface margin, and that will also remove a little bit of extra amalgam. Just a little bit of extra. I'm going to do it here just so you can see. So you can see it's removing some of that extra amalgam. Okay. I don't want to remove too much on the marginal ridge, and it also pushes it and kind of burnishes it into the cavo surface margin. All right, let's get rid of this little bit of excess here. I don't care about what's over here. If I take the time like I am now to take that out, all it is wasting time. We're focused on clearing right here as much as we can. We want this nice space between the matrix band and the top of the marginal ridge. So the top of my marginal ridge right now is right here. And there's this deep V between, or space between the amalgam and the matrix band, and that's going to help prevent breakage of my marginal ridge. All right, I'm going to come in and ball burnish. I'm going to use the big end of the acorn side, and I'm going to put some moderate pressure on here. I don't want it to be too light. There we go. And notice I don't go in the center. You don't have to. A lot of people do, just to make it look smooth, and it looks smoother and it looks nice. But the thing is that just takes extra time and it doesn't really do much for us. I'm going to point something out here. There's a little bit of a void or a deficiency right there. So I'm seeing that, and the amalgam is soft enough right now that I can go ahead and I can just burnish with the small end the amalgam into that cable surface margin. Notice I'm pulling up into the cable surface margin, so it's a one stroke. So I bring it down onto the amalgam and pull up. I lift my ball up and I come down again. It's not back and forth. It's actually just one motion, okay? So really pay attention when you are clearing to make sure, and ball burnishing to make sure that you don't have any gaps. So we're going to take out our matrix band and wedge now and get that out of our way. So let's see here. I'm going to take my wedge out first. And we're going to take our matrix band off. I'm undoing the small outer nut first. I'm going to hold my matrix band in place, remove my Toffelmeyer, remove the matrix band out of the mesial portion of the marginal ridge first, then gently slide it up and out of the distal portion. Okay, I'm going to stop the video here. If all you needed was condensing, we're done. I will start the next piece on the next video.